Hello everyone, welcome to Calm Colic Naturally and Support Your Baby's Nervous System webinar. I'm Dr. Rachel with Be Well Chiropractic here in Palmer, Alaska. I say that for a couple different reasons, as this is going to be on the internet. I cannot control when you are watching this webinar, so if you know of family members who are in the area who are babies are considered colicky, are in the area, you know where to send them, or we are part of a network called the Pediatric Experience. So there are multiple different docs who are trained very similarly that can also help any family members or yourself who are going through these health challenges. So I think a good way to start off is really to clarify what colic is, because I feel like it's very misunderstood and just a general label that's thrown around for babies who excessively cry all the time. So, the medical definition of colic is a baby cries 3 hours a day, 3 days a week, for more than 3 weeks. And research is starting to show that 25% of infants experience colic medically. There are tons of more babies that are experiencing excessive crying that do not fall under these categories, but are still defined as colicky babies. Some of the signs of colic are unexplained episodes of intense, high-pitched screaming, sounding distress, crying that is difficult to soothe and comfort with feeding, diaper changes, or any other self-soothing or soothing mechanisms that parents have tried that no longer work. Onset of predictable times. This is most commonly late afternoon or in the evenings. Facial grimacing, appearing uncomfortable. Flushed skin or a brighter red face during or after crying bouts. Stiff or tense arms, legs, clenched fist and toes while crying. Frequent arching of the back while crying. So, there's two aspects of your nervous system. There's the fight, flight, or freeze, which everyone is very familiar with, which is called the sympathetic aspect of your nervous system. And then we have what is called the parasympathetic aspect of our nervous system, so the rest and digest state. So everything we don't have to think about, such as heartbeat, lungs, digestion, immune function, all that kind of stuff. Parents are also noticing in colicky babies that those parasympathetic functions that are controlled by the vagus nerve often accompany those excessive crying things, such as digestion, the quality of sleep, their immunity, things like reflux and constipation, and eczema and frequent illnesses are often accompanied on top of colic. So they don't really grow out of it, they grow into something else. So there are a lot of myths and misconceptions when it comes to colic. So I'm here to really debunk some of them. So the first myth is colic is normal and will resolve on its own. Colic does typically resolve itself within 3 to 4 months, but why not be preventative and not wait for that 3 to 4 months? So it definitely causes significant disruption in those early months, such as constant crying, distress, sleep, feeding problems, emotional bonding problems, and brain development as well. So for this reason, colic shouldn't be ignored. It delays the proper care infants need and require. So while it's considered to resolve on its own, really it indicates there is neurophysiological dysfunction that can progress into chronic problems. The second myth is it's just gas or gut issues. Now, while gas can contribute to some of these symptoms, it cannot alone explain some of the hallmark symptoms of colic, such as back arching, facial grimacing, and predictable evening crying spells. So the second myth is that it's either gas or gut issues. In reality, gas can contribute to colic. However, it cannot alone explain some of the hallmark signs, such as the back arching, the facial grimacing, and the predictable evening crying spells. The third myth is nothing can be done, it just has to be waited out. Now, that's not true. Research and studies have shown that gentle chiropractic adjustments and protocols can help calm and alleviate some of that neurological stress and digestive stress as well. Because when your nervous system is functioning how it's meant to, everything else in your body is operating like it's meant to. So better nervous system equals better digestion system. The fourth myth is that it's normal crying and it will resolve on its own. Again, it just indicates there is some neurophysiological dysfunction that can progress into more chronic problems. Myth number 5. Colic is caused solely by gas or food intolerances. In reality, there is more primary neurological imbalances that are not allowing your kiddo to digest and operate as it's meant to. Formula changes and probiotics can cure colic. It can definitely help, but it cannot cure colic. It offers a partial remedy or a short-term relief. It does not address the root dysfunction that is going on with your child's and baby's nervous system and digestive system. Eliminating milk always helps. Now, true lactose and dairy intolerances are actually really rare. Even when present, there is a root cause to why that intolerance exists. Colicky babies just need to pass gas. There is no research or evidence that proves that colicky babies produce more gas than babies who are not diagnosed with colic. So this is not true. Only time will improve colic. Gentle restoration of the nervous system often brings lasting relief as their nervous system is more regulated and more balanced. So, what causes colic? So there is, like I talked about, there's 2 states of the nervous system. One is controlled by the sympathetic chain within our nervous system. The other one is controlled by the vagus nerve. So when that flow to the vagus nerve is disrupted, which connects the brainstem to the abdomen, responsible for the brain-gut health connection, is not working as it's meant to, we're going to have some issues with digestion and constipation and passing gas. So when there's tension that accumulates in the vagus nerve, it can affect the digestion process, enzyme release, gut motility, waste elimination, and hunger cues. So these can cause classic colic symptoms, such as the tense muscles, the back arching, the rapid heart rate, even though there's no signs of physical distress, and an overwhelming urge to scream out in distress. So, like I talked about, one of the myths is it's just normal crying. It's not normal crying. New evidence is showing that colic is not normal, but instead starts to show digestive dysfunction from an early neurological imbalance, an urgent cue signaling a baby's overwhelmed, stressed system, and a risk of future issues if underlying dysfunction remains. So there's a sequence that we like to call the perfect storm. It fits for a lot of the reasons that we are seeing more chronically sick kids than we've ever seen before. It is something we call the colic perfect storm sequence. So the first phase is in maternal and fetal stress. When a baby is in mom's uterus, it is connected to mom through the umbilical cord. Now, the umbilical cord is typically thought of providing oxygen and nutrients for the baby, which it absolutely does. But what's typically overlooked is it is also mom's nervous system connected to baby's nervous system. So if a mom is more in a fight or flight stage all throughout her pregnancy, that baby's nervous system is already overactive and more in a fight or flight stress. The next is birth trauma. Birth is a very traumatic situation, and it is the most athletic thing a woman's body is ever going to do in its lifetime. But there can be a lot of things, and more interventions are being used in today and age birth. There is a higher and higher increased frequency with cesarean sections. Now, C-sections, sometimes they are absolutely needed. They are going to save mom and baby's life. However, they are becoming the go-to option instead of the natural vaginal birth. So if you ever have seen a C-section video, I am sorry. If you ever go look up a C-section video, I suggest that you don't, because what you will see is what they pull on to remove the baby from the birth canal and the uterus. It is the head and the neck. And it is primarily about 60 to 90 pounds of force that is used on a baby's neck to remove them from the uterus, which is an incredible amount of stress for a little one's nervous system, on top of what is the most important thing that they tell you when you hold a baby: protect the head and the neck. Yet what do they pull on to remove them from the birth canal? The head and the neck. So next, that leads into nervous system imbalance. because the vagus nerve comes out at the base of the skull. It is the primary aspect of where the autonomic nervous system is housed. So if that area has already experienced a significant amount of stress and tension, there's already a lot of inflammation in there, causing some imbalance within the nervous system. And then the fourth phase starts to happen. That is when the colic symptoms emerge. They start to arch their back. They start to cry out in distress. They cannot calm themselves down and regulate their nervous system. All these things start to happen later on. So if you have anyone in your life that is experiencing a colicky baby or any types of these symptoms, have these types of pregnancies, anything like that, we are located in Palmer, Alaska. So all of our information will be below, and it will be hyperlinked, so you're able to go right to our website, right to everything. And on top of there will be information further down there that talks about how you can get connected within this community through PX Docs. That link will be right there for you. So as soon as you go to the website, you can type in your zip code and look for the most local one that you have that is closest and really get you connected. There's also tons of resources and articles and resources that you can use for your child, family, cousins, nieces, nephews, grandkids, whoever is watching this, whoever you have in your life. So thank you so much for tuning in. We look forward to any of the questions that you have, and we hope to meet you soon. Bye-bye.